Alright, part 3 of Parasite Eve, and we're on day 2. Fusion! You know, I don't need to explain it. But yeah, after each day, or as I like to call plot, we're given bonus points and we're leveling up throughout because day 2. Uh, After each day, though, you are given the option to save it. So, hey, are you okay? But essentially, after Aya's encounter at Carnegie Hall, everyone's kind of a little weirded out. Just about everybody in Carnegie Hall spontaneously combusting, and she's the only one that's kind of immune to it at this point. Everyone doesn't really know what's going on. You know, we got Mr. Warner and Nix. I guess these I would call them like the B cops. You know how you have in action movies where there's always like the main guys and then the other guys who either help them. They're always like the assholes, and they help out things. But right now, the chief of police, Mr. Baker, right now is giving us a see what you're doing. He's giving us a modification permit for us to mod our weapon down at the weapons department. Now, the weapons department will become a big part of the game. Very big part. On one hand, on your first playthrough, you'll be able to upgrade your weapons, move, because you know how we're upgrading, we're adding things to our armor or different types of armor, which I'll discuss later, because there's different types of armor and different armor do different things. I don't know, this lady's always standing out here, and as always, there's different weapons, but there's different types of guns, and each gun does something different, and some add damage, some add special effects or special attributes to them. But you can go down in the weapons department, and if you have, well, now granted, this modification permit is just a free pass, kind of like a kind of a tutorial code to just show us how to upgrade our weapons and so on and so forth. I should also say too is that there will be an infinite amount of ammo, at the very least 30, and a medicine, I believe it's 1 or 2, which if you leave to go to the map, as we did in the earlier preview, you can now come back to here to the precinct, and there's always those 2 things in the box that's in the upper left hand corner, and there's one in the upper right of this particular camera angle. But now we're introduced to Warner and Torres, which are pretty much the weapons department. They mod guns, and they seem to love guns and all that other thing. And by the way, they also hold items for you, non-essential or non-essential items for you. They also hold equipment for you, such as guns you don't want to use right now, or vest or armor that you don't want to use. And also, because it's EX mode, they also hold items that you previously stored from your previous game. They hold them in storage. Now granted, some things like this rocket crate for the rocket launcher, we don't get ammo for that till later in the game, so we really can't really use that. If I had a couple rockets, I would use them. I definitely would, because the it turns pretty quick. Now Torres just gave us a rifle, which I believe is just a regular automatic rifle, if I'm not mistaken. But as he was explaining too, you know, if you get a weapons permit, that's a kind of a free pass. Sorry. And well, as they show here, the tune-up. Now the tune-up is essentially you can take two guns. I'm not sure if it's from the same type of gun, or you maybe use different effects from different guns, but with the tool you can either increase the damage that a gun does from gun to gun, the critical hit percentage of a gun, and you can also take its attributes. Some weapons, I would say, like a handgun, I'm not sure which handgun it is, but I know there's a particular handgun that does like a three bursts, like a burst of, or semi-automatic handgun. Well, you can take that three burst attribute and move it toward a gun that, that only carries one bullet. Or I'm trying to think, like the gun I have now, Link, which is a nod to Zelda. Well, the game Zelda. He's the link between a previous game and another game. But we'll be using Link for the moment, so we really don't need to. That's the strongest gun that we have right now. Really don't need to really upgrade it at this point. But like Link has two command prompts. So in each turn, or every time my active time thing fills up, it's essentially taking two turns. I can either use it to shoot more bullets, I could use my PE, I could switch a gun. It's just it's another turn. And actually, this that particular gun has two more slots that I can use to do different things. But I don't think I'll be using it anymore for this part. The same can be said for the ammo too. If particular ammo, or not ammo, I'm sorry, if a particular protective vest can do, is ineffective to poison, where you can take that ineffective to poison attribute and move it toward another one. So it might seem deep. It's not really. I would say once you get to about day 4, day 5, you kind of used to it. For this particular playthrough, the EX game, I will not be upgrading any weapons till very much later in my playthrough, because like I said, once we get to the Chrysler building, we'll be getting better weapons, and I kind of want to save my tools and other things, or other free upgrades for those weapons. But previously, they were just showing Daniel's son, forgot his name already, but his son, he wanted to go to a concert, if I'm not mistaken, which takes place at the New York Central Park. I don't know why a kid would want to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Like NBC does like those Christmas in the Park kind of thing. But the chief of police has summoned me personally to his office, because he doesn't know what the hell is going on. Neither do I. But apparently, you see, it's a national televised event. So yeah, something like that. So. Well, actually, there's a press conference going on right now. That we kind of have to attend. But the city is kind of, not, the whole city doesn't know at this point, but, it's kind of a bubbling story at this point, as far as, Eve. And it's just funny too because there's another Eve. She's a singer, or she's more of a rapper, but not a singer. But she's from the New York area. But Aya is explaining that Melissa has now changed, and now she's calling herself Eve. Instead of keeping her mouth shut. No, 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 no. I did the right thing. People should know. But it's kind of two ways because if you don't tell people, then people are going to be upset with you, or upset with the police department, or the Manhattan Police Department at that. And also, you don't want to cause a panic, but people do need to know. So she's kind of put in a tough spot. And the media was going to ask her anyway. I'm just glad it takes place in '97 as opposed to 2013, because 2013, I mean, I would be pretty crazy. Paparazzi. But right now, um, Daniel and Aya are given orders by the chief to figure out what this metachlorian thing is, or what it has to do with Eve destroying things, and they've got a lead, I would think, in this case, which is to meet Dr. Clapp or Clamp. I don't know the official pronunciation of his name, but he's a researcher, and he's currently at the New York Museum. I don't know what is with these games and the supernatural taking place in New York, and the museum being the center of these things. I don't know. Can't quite put my finger on it. But now, yeah, we have to leave the New York Police Department. I should have talked to that guy before I left. And we're also introduced not for the first time, but we're given freely now to move around in the world map, which is just kind of just constructed in Manhattan.